sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Yeah, I mean, we're not, like we talked this morning, it seems like we're going back and forth. We're not. If we were, I'd let you know, but we're not doing that. We're just we're deciding game by game as we always do, so we'll continue to do that.
I love the way he just kind of, I'll let you know. We're not alternating goalies. I mean, they are.
Yeah,
they are.
But I mean, I'll let you know is my favorite.
Like we can see who's playing goalie every night though. So
hey, Phil, it's Dean. Hey, Dean, what's up? We are changing our goaltending plan. It's going to be Capo tonight. Hey, thanks, Dean.
Appreciate it.
Okay, have a good day. Bye,
all right, Dino. Good talk. So it was kind of a bad loss last night. They fell behind early. Ottawa is not good. They're one of the 5 or 6 worst teams in the NHL. But hockey, it happens. So you guys got your little Judd's hockey show thing that's exploding over the past year.
It's a cute little show.
Great. It's fine.
It's a cute little show.
No, whatever. It's a show.
It's been charting in the top 20 of Apple Hockey podcasts. Our downloads are up like 200% over the last few years.
That's great.
Cute, huh? It's cute.
Cute, yeah.
Cute, he says.
Side project by a couple of guys.
That's what the Whisperers found. It's cute.
It is. It's good. No, legitimately, it's exploding. And if you aren't already checking out Judd's Hockey Show, you should on the SKOR North YouTube channel. You can also just find it on Apple, Spotify, etc. But the Hockey Whisperer sometimes feels left out. It's called Judd's Hockey Show, and Declan is the co-host. And the Hockey Whisperer doesn't always have takes, but when he does have takes, he needs an outlet to express those takes. But he probably doesn't have enough takes for there to be like a Hockey Whisperer hockey show. So he takes those takes to the Mackie and Judd Show. And the Hockey Whisperer has at least 4 observations that he will throw out. And the Judd's Hockey Show crew can either course correct him and point him in the right direction or can agree and lavishly praise the Hockey Whisperer for how tuned in his hockey takes are.
We will decide about your cute little takes once we hear them.
Okay.
Won't we, Declan?
Yes, we will.
Okay. All right. So we'll get to a goaltending take here in a second, just off the clip to start the show. By the way, this is also a Write That Down Wednesday. When are you guys going to admit that you were wrong? Every Wednesday on the show. Today. You'll find it on Mackie and Judd and on Purple Daily. So, all right, you guys ready for some Hockey Whisperer takes here?
Yeah, let's go. Let's hear it.
All
right.
Whisper. So take number 1 is more of like a pontification. The Hockey Whisperer is a little confused by some of the rhetoric surrounding a potential Claude Giroux trade. He saw this article in The Athletic this week, and he's just going to read a paragraph here and react to it. Likelihood of a trade to anyone, not just the Wild, but likelihood of a trade to anyone, medium to high. So there's 2 defensemen that are. This is a ranking of like all the top trade candidates, and there's like 20 of them or something. There's a couple defensemen that are high, like high danger of being traded, and then you get to Giroux, and he's the number 1 forward on this list, and he's like medium high. Okay, the article reads: Giroux is on an expiring contract with a full no move clause, so he gets to dictate. That does count $8.2 million against the cap. You prorate that. And thus can control his final destination if he chooses to move on. If?
Yeah. Yes.
Is this like this if thing is really a thing? He's 34.
Yeah.
I get that he's played his whole career with one franchise, and it's probably tough to
he's their captain.
Reconcile leaving a franchise, but
the
Flyers have gone nowhere. I mean, how long has it been since they've they haven't even. I don't think they've been beyond the first round of the playoffs in like a decade. So they're not going anywhere. Maybe they're not going to be as bad as they are this year, but he's never won a cup. He's 34. Yeah. He has a chance to go play for some Western Conference contenders. This whole I don't know, he might not want to move on. The Hockey Whisperer is confused by why there's any question that he would want to go compete for a cup. And then if you want to go sign back with the Flyers in the offseason, go ahead. Go back to the Flyers if you love them.
Yeah, Whisperer, you've fallen victim to a hockey old school thought processes.
Yeah.
And it's sort of written like this by hockey scribes. It's this whole thing of, well, the guy's played his entire career here. He's the captain. And, the full no move clause gives you complete control. So, like, if the wife and kids love Philly, you don't have to leave. I think we ran into this a little bit with, although I don't know at the time that the no move clause existed. We ran into this when Ray Bourque was traded to the Avs. Okay. Ray Bourque, career Boston Bruin, played there forever. Is he going to want a trade? And same thing. Of course, he said, hold on a second. I can go to an Avs team that could win a cup, and I'm with a Boston team right now that can't. Yes, I will take the trade. So don't be fooled by what I think is more the old school hockey thought process. You are right, Whisper, in the sense that this doesn't really make sense in pro sports today. But as Dex can explain, hockey has some weird quirks, and we all know that. It's got some weird quirks. And so I fully expect that Giroux will sign off on a trade. Now, the key thing is he completely controls said trade. So if they come and say, the Avs are, we love what they're going to send back, he could be like, yeah, well, dude, I don't like them. I'm not saying he doesn't, but he controls his fate. But I don't buy for 1 second that he's going to put his foot down and say, or his skate down in this case, Whisper, and say, no trade for me. I love Philly.
Yeah, the Wild ran into a similar issue, and I hate to compare Claude Giroux to this guy, even though this guy actually did win a cup. But like when Eric Stahl's name was being flirted by the Wild at the trade deadline, would have been 3 or 4 years ago now. And there was, he loves Minnesota, and he'd have to approve a trade, and he was comfortable here. There's this weird aura in hockey where we don't want to disrupt their comfort, which I think is just a bunch of BS. They're professional athletes. They get paid millions of dollars. Right. And yes, if you're Claude Giroux, you want to win a cup. The funny part is, and Pierre LeBrun threw this nugget in on his speculation about a week ago, he is scheduled to skate in his 1,000th game, I believe, on March 18th, 19th, which is about 3 days before the NHL trade deadline. So it could be hilarious if he is traded before that 1,000th game, that big landmark where they give him the damn platinum stick or whatever the hell they give a 1,000-game player, and he wouldn't be in a Flyers uniform. So I wonder, too, if he wants to ride that out, have the stupid ceremony in Philadelphia for the 1,000th game, and then get moved within 48 hours of the deadline.
Or they could just, I guess, if he really wanted to, I want to play my 1,000th game in Philadelphia, it's like, all right, I guess we can just wait. Just wait a few extra weeks or whatever. But
yeah, you could wait.
Here's the other thing I would say, and this is just the Hockey Whisperer's view on things. So he's going to get traded, for one, unless he's just if he's more.
He'll get traded.
If he's more loyal to this franchise, that he has nothing left to give them at this point. That they owe him more than he owes them at this point.
Yep.
So I think it's going to happen. And when you look at the other teams that are, so there's the Avalanche, the Blues. I've also seen a couple Nuggets, and you guys could shed some light on this, looping the Bruins in.
Yeah,
is that
Bruins
correct?
are an option.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So here's the thing. All right, close circuit to Claude Giroux. Those three teams have already won Stanley Cups. In fact, the Blues just won one like 2 or 3 years ago. It's been a while for the Avalanche, but they had almost like a borderline dynasty. They won one in the mid '90s, and they won another one a few years later. Boston won one at some point in the middle of all those Boston championships like 10 years ago. How about coming to the state of hockey, where there's never been North Stars, Wild, there's never been a Stanley Cup hoisted. You want to leave a franchise that you've been with for a decade and a half for something meaningful. You don't just want to be like a hired gun for a Blues franchise that already won one a few years ago, right? How about be a mercenary for a franchise that's never won a cup before? You would be a hero. You would be the Jack Morris, as it is, for the Twins.
Wow.
For Minnesota hockey. Come home to the state of hockey, Claude Giroux.
Come home. I've never been here before, really, but come home. To the
He's visited here once a year. Twice a year.
That's probably true.
So the Hockey Whisperer
and then guess what?
Would like to see this happen.
And then, got your cup, go back to Philly.
Sure.
That's the thing is, there definitely have been some guys in the past with no move clauses in the midst of contracts who do kill trades. Let me think of one who would have done that. Oh, Ryan Suter, because they're comfortable there. But in this case, it's the perfect storm. Like, why would you turn down a chance to win a cup and play meaningful springtime games, which, by the way, is arguably the best thing in sports? Like, the hockey playoffs are fantastic.
Yeah.
So that you can be like, I would like to start my off season early. That would make no sense.
Yeah. All right. Observation number 2 from the Hockey Whisperer here. Alex Goligoski is better than Ryan Suter would have been for the Wild this season. And he has stats to back this up. So Alex Goligoski is 12th among all skaters, forwards and defensemen in the entire league in plus minus. And I get plus minus is not like the gospel by which you should measure players, but it's interesting. So he's 12th among all skaters. He's a plus 29 when he's on the ice this season. Ryan Suter, who's a plus 2, is 264th. They're about the same age, right? Goligoski, 5th on the Wild in point shares, which is more than Suter has been worth in point shares to his Stars team. And I would also note that Goligoski is playing about 4 fewer minutes of ice time per game than Suter because he's okay with that. He can play 19, 20 minutes instead of 24, 25 minutes and not have to have a come to Jesus meeting with the coach about minutes with his ego being involved. And so correct the whisperer if he's wrong, but this Alex Goligoski thing has worked out quite well replacing Ryan Suter.
It worked out really well for a while. He has not played great as of late, and that's why initially, until I think it was the last couple games or last night, that they didn't put him back with Spurgeon and tried different guys with Spurgeon because his plate dropped off. He is. I think this is fair to say. Ryan Suter was a steadier presence as far as smoothness and playing ability, but he was a bigger detriment in the locker room. And I think Goose, as I call him Goose. Goose brings a level of locker room stability and presence that probably weighs those two things very well, because this all goes back to what? Chemistry, right? Like, the chemistry is important. And so I think the Wild wouldn't complain about what they've gotten from Goligoski at all. That being said, I am curious if they are going to sign him to an extension. There was some thought that he would be signed to an extension that would be cheaper than his current contract by now. I don't know that they're necessarily happy enough with his play to do that, but overall, I think the chemistry moves have worked out perfectly. Like, I am not going to sit here and say, yeah, bring back Suits and it would be great, because then he'd still be in the locker room, still checking out his personal stats between periods. Those are problems. So, yeah, I think that I would definitely give a thumbs up here. I hope that Goligoski's play, though, rebounds a bit, because as Dex can explain from JHS last night, there are some concerns as the playoffs approach, because nobody is thinking, man, if the Wild just gives a good first-round performance, that's great. Whisperer, there are expectations this time around.
Yeah, big-time expectations. I'd say Alex Goligoski and Ryan Suter have been about the same player this year. And the good news is Goligoski's under a 1-year contract for $5 million. Suter got another multi-year deal with Dallas, and Dallas has been so up and down, and it's classic that Ryan Suter's on that team. Like, they feel like everything's kind of breaking there. Jamie Benn isn't the player he used to be. Joe Pavelski could potentially be on the way out. Their coaching staff's been up and down. He's a perfect Dallas star player right now. And Goligoski, I think, has been a more impactful addition to the Wild's lineup than Ryan Suter would be on and off the ice.
Yeah. You know what makes the Hockey Whisperer feel great this time of year?
What's that?
Long underwear from Chill Boys and chillboys.com.
Oh, God almighty.
Whether he's watching hockey sporadically, very sporadically on ESPN Plus and or Bally Sports North, or whether maybe he's watching other people skate because he hasn't actually skated in like 20 years himself. Chill Boys are always keeping him warm during these winter months. What's one word to describe how Chill Boys are making you guys feel today? Ecstatic.
It is a life-changing experience that I didn't think that I would ever wake up in the morning and think to myself, you know what? I am so comfortable down there because of Chill Boys. But I do. I think that
I'm gonna cheat a little bit and say top shelf. That's the word I would use to describe top shelf. I feel that they go top shelf every single time, and I like the way it feels. Top shelf. I love my Chill Boys.
It's a Minnesota-based company, and all they care about is your comfort down there. Chillboys.com. Order them online. All right, observation 3 of 4 here. Now we get to, and maybe some of this loops in with the Alex Goligoski struggles of late that you guys talk about. It certainly loops in with the clip we played off the top of the show here. The Hockey Whisperer is not in love with some of these big, crooked numbers that opposing teams hang on the Wild in games Cam Talbot starts. So Ottawa 4, Florida scored 7. They're good, but 7? Winnipeg
2 empty
hung
nets.
6. That's okay, but 5 and 5. Like,
no. Florida scored 6. 4 of them. It's 6. Sorry, Whisper.
Well, I thought they scored 7.
No, I thought
Was
they
it 6?
scored, yeah, it's a 6.
Okay, well, either way, like, don't allow
Regardless,
4
crooked
goals
numbers.
in a game.
Crooked numbers.
Yeah, what are you splitting hairs with the Whisperer for here?
Whisper, I am trying to make sure you got the numbers right.
Yeah, so it's a lot of goals, and it's Cam Talbot starts, and you got the coach sitting here after the game saying, "Oh, there's nothing to see. We're just, I'm just kind of doing whatever."
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like they have, they don't have like a Hall of Fame goalie in the wings here, so it's not like they can just flip a switch. So I guess here's what the Whisperer would suggest. Talbot hasn't played 3 consecutive games in the same week. You know, they had the whole COVID thing back in December, but he hasn't played 3 games in the same week since early December. Would it make sense to just get him some steady playing time to see if you can build a rhythm? I don't know. Whisper's just throwing stuff
Declan,
out
I'm going to
there.
let you take this one. This is a juicy one.
Yeah, this is tough, but I also think Cam Talbot, this is who he is. He has never showed that he can be a consistent year in, year out, above average goaltender. He was a dynamite, almost a Vezina candidate in Edmonton about 5 years ago. Then he completely fell off the face of the earth as one of the worst goalies in the league. Rebounds a little bit in Calgary, looks all right, plays okay. Comes to the Wild, he's okay. He kind of is above average goalie, but nothing spectacular. And this year, again, has dropped off. In terms of goals saved above average, Whisperer, which is a statistic that is used more by goaltender hockey analytics crowd. It's calculated by the league's average save percentage with the number of shots the goalie has had. So if you have a positive goals saved above average, it's the number of goals that goalie has saved compared to league average. And Cam Talbot this year is at 1. So he's stopping about 1 more shot than the league average goaltender should be stopping.
And the Wild get away with it because they have such a high octane offense.
Correct.
Correct. But if a playoff series bogs down,
it could be disastrous. And he ranks 17th in that figure among 26 qualified goaltenders. So he's average. He is who he is. In fact, I could make the case you should be playing Kaapo Kähkönen more.
Sportson, you're burying the lead. You're burying the lead where Judd's Hockey Show has gone, and we might as well take the Whisperer with us to Chicago, Illinois, where Judd's Hockey Show all on board for a trade now for Marc-Andre Fleury. DeFlower, playoff experience, 37 last year of his contract. To rip the Band-Aid off completely, Sportson and I no longer trust Cam Talbot. And the last thing I want, and I am pounding this drum now. Yes, I am saying it over and over. So if you're tired of my repetitive takes, I apologize, or too damn bad. But here it is. Whisper, the last thing Declan and I want is this. Wild played the Blues tough in that first round, and they played pretty well, but unfortunately came down to goaltending. And Cam Talbot, because Cam Talbot is their top guy, and I keep telling Dex this, I don't think it's fair to get to the playoffs and tell Kaapo, hey, we've lost faith in Cam. You're the guy now, because Kaapo has shown in times of pressure, he collapses too. What better way to give yourself a chance than to bring in DeFlower, who is going to, or who should be traded, again, expiring contract, so no problems in 2022, 23, and at least then you've got a playoff experienced goaltender, guy that beat you in 7 games with the Golden Knights last year. to allude to the stats and facts that both of you just broached, I just think that going into a playoff series in which you have big expectations and trying to ride Talbot is playing with fire. And I'm done purposely trying to play with goaltender matches.
Yeah, and listen, all right, I get that you're trying to pace yourselves here, especially with the game. You're going to have all these games scrunched into your schedule now. So I get that there's a certain aspect of you're not just going to run a guy out there for a week, for 10 straight starts or whatever. But if you don't trust him to play 3 consecutive games against like weak Eastern Conference opponents, do you really trust him in a playoff series? I don't know. It just feels like I
agree with you.
If Z Flower is going to help the Wild host Z Cup at some point, then count the Hockey Whisperer in.
And I think in terms of a trade, like, look, Claude Giroux is great. Claude Giroux make the Wild better, but what is more likely to carry a team through 4 rounds of playoffs? A really nice above-average second-line center or a goaltender? Goaltender. Every single time.
Is from a cap perspective, from an assets perspective, is there any way you could land both?
Yeah.
Is it kind of one or the other? Or none? Obviously, it's
if you got if you got one of the teams to pick up a little bit of the cap, I think you could. And they've got, I want to say too, so the Parise and Suter buyouts are going to put the Wild in cap hell for the upcoming 3 seasons. But I want to say Cap Friendly has the Wild's trading deadline cap availability at 13+ mil. So like they've got some room here. Like if you're ever going to make the move, this is the year, because the next 3 it's going to come crashing down as far as availability
It
goes.
sounds to the Hockey Whisperer like if they get the Z Flower, then Judge should get the Z Flag.
Oh yeah. Hold on, I got to get it. There it is. Flower power.
And then the Wild can make it to at least Z Western Conference Finals, maybe, for the first time
Here's
since
what I want. I want
2003 or whatever.
Win the first round and give the Avs, give yourself a fighting chance there. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Like if you play the Avs, which I think they would, because of the goofy way the playoffs set up, I think they'd probably play the Avs in the second round. Not ideal. But if you play the Avs tough in like 6 or 7 games, like that's fine.
No,
because that's a good.
Wait.
No.
Did you just lower the expectations?
He did.
You get beat in 6 games in the second round, and you're doing that.
Saying,
That's every year of the
2014.
Wild's history.
I'm saying you have to give yourself a chance against Colorado.
You should go beat
Talbot
Colorado
in goal. That'd be great, but I think with Talbot in goal, my point is I think you might not get out of the first round, which to me is disastrous. Like,
I feel like you're lowering expectations a little here.
I would like to see them win.
The Hockey Whisperer senses weakness.
My weakness and my
Bingo,
fear
anger.
and my concern is a first round loss to the Blues. That's
coward.
my concern. You need to get past the Blues. You need to get past the Blues, and then you play Colorado. I cannot in good conscience, Whisperer, sit here right now in my home studio and guarantee you that I have faith that they can beat the Avs. Okay? I can't do that. I want them to. I think it'd be great. I think the expectation is that it would be a great series. I said, write that down. These 2 teams will play and go 7 games. That's a good series. Beat them. That's awesome. But right now, I'm telling you, I'm afraid that if you go in with Cam or like Capo, hey, Capo, come here. You're our guy now. I'm afraid the Blues would knock you off.
That's fair.
And if that's the case, then I ain't got butkus to talk about for like a month.
It's fair, but it's also this isn't Twins Yankees. Like, I know the Blues got them once, but this is not slaying a dragon that is the St. Louis Blues.
No,
so
but
I understand
I'm
your
afraid
like
you'll
cause
collapse.
for. I understand your cause for concern, but
Yeah.
I also. It's okay. There isn't like this fire-breathing dragon, and we're gonna bleep down our legs because we're the Twins. We don't know what to do when postseason baseball happens.
No, my point is
they're gonna be okay.
Goal. Not if they let in bad goals. That screws you. You know that, Declan. You know that. You
They'll
can't
be okay.
have that.
I'm not
So
worried
you
about it.
think Cam Talbot's just fine?
I don't think he's just. It's not that I think he's just fine. I'm not concerned with losing to the Blues. They're not going to lose to the Blues.
I feel like
They
Judd's
won't.
Judd's flashing back to the mid '80s and having.
I'm
you know,
flashing
Yes,
back
they
to
can.
every
They
time
can
having
beat the
like-
Blues
like
with the
they
current
beat
goaltending.
They lost to the Blues a couple times when Judd was a youth. Screw the Blues. Screw
Yeah,
the
screw the
Blues.
Blues. You know
Screw
what?
the
The
Blues.
Flower gives you a better chance to beat the Blues than Cam Talbot or
That's
Capo. And look, the thing that we've conveniently forgotten now, when the pressure got on Capo, he went in the toilet. Last year, it got bad.
Well,
it got bad. I don't want to see that.
Maybe the Hockey Whisperer's fourth observation can help crystallize things here, okay? Even without a Claude Giroux trade, analytically, the Wild are excellent in many offensive categories, which you guys talk about this on Judd's Hockey Show. So they're 6th in the NHL in goal differential. They are number 1 in the Western Conference in high-danger shot percentage offensively, meaning how many high-danger shots they're getting versus opponents. And they are number 1 in the NHL in overall shooting percentage. So they're converting more shots to goals than any team in the NHL, even without adding Claude Giroux to the mix. So maybe the answer is just keep riding this. You got Boldy in the mix. Like keep riding this thing out and get a better goaltender and cross
Forwards
your
are good.
fingers.
The only problem, the concern in a playoff series, and if you don't get Giroux, it can't be fixed at all, is faceoffs. Puck possession. Because they're not good. They ain't good. Last time I looked, they were 23rd. The last 2 or 3 games they've lost by the face-off percentage wins. So that concerns me a little bit in the playoffs. But right now, my biggest platform is goaltending. I have concerns about goaltending. And Cam Talbot, the problem is this. It's not that he always looks terrible, but he's not making saves that win you games. Like last night is the definition of, was he brutal? Absolutely not. Did he make a couple of stops where you said, okay, that's big? Absolutely.
He's the Kirk Cousins of goaltenders.
He's a little.
I feel like he's a Twins. I feel like he's a Twins ace who's not an ace.
Scott Baker.
Brad Radke, Scott Baker.
Yeah, but we convince ourselves he's an ace.
And then the regular
he's
season,
all
you can kind of get away with him because
Exactly.
pretty good.
Exactly.
But then when you start playing the best teams in the world, it's like, oh, he's one of the worst goalies in the playoffs now. Okay,
exactly.
this is bad.
And now, yes, thank you, Whisper. You crystallized it for us.
See, all right,
there
it is.
Yeah, and even to the face-off point, like you just need a key face-off win because even like teams that lead the NHL in like Dallas is 2nd in face-off percentage. You know, like the Flyers are 5th in face-off percentage, that cumulative that they've won. The Wild can get in transition. They have playmakers that I wouldn't worry too much about, like losing face-offs all the time. I'm more concerned about, do you have a high-octane offense, which the Wild have, but can you get a key draw when you need one, like to Judd's point, in the defensive zone or in the offensive zone when you have the goaltender pulled? Can you win that draw? I wouldn't worry too much about the overall fact that you're losing face-offs.
I have shifted firmly to this. My number 1 concern, goaltending. My 2 is so my current wish list for the trade deadline, which is I believe at 2 p.m. Central, March 21st, is the Flower 1, Giroux 2, and I would love to see a big defenseman on the blue line, but it ain't going to happen. So I'm going to keep my list at 2. But Giroux was 1 for a long time. I've changed now. I've changed that.
I like it. So there you go. Those are 4 Hockey Whisperer observations, powered in part by our friends at St. Thomas. You know, we got a Division I hockey team, Division I basketball, football. You can find all your Tommy Sports tickets year-round at TommySports.com. That's TommySports.com. You can hear the games, football, basketball, hockey, on SKOR North Radio. TommySports.com. Look at that. We're all on the same page about Cam Talbot. Thanks for nothing last night. All right, let's take a quick pause here and make some predictions and admit that we were wrong. Write that down coming